A football life is presented by Chase.
Coaching at whatever level and playing at whatever level is a stressful undertaking. To have that success over that amount of time, it's a testament to him and his fortitude. People always love to start, and we always love to finish. We get ready to start school, we get excited. We're gonna start school. We're graduating, we're getting excited because we're gonna graduate. What is that sustainability in the middle between starting it and finishing it that most people don't have? So he is a measure above normal men.
You're going to be a football player when you grow up.
Today is the best day of your life. Believe it.
He might be the finest quarterback produced in the last 10 years.
He used to be like this. That's all I need.
Fortunately for me, I didn't lose my life. I didn't lose my job. Football convinced me that life is a team game.
Rest of your life, nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it.
Good to see everybody again, huh?
Yeah,
It's great.
How you doing?
On this ball. So the next day I go into the meeting and I'm flipping this ball around. Merck's autograph, Larry Little's autograph was on it.
You can never be a friend of Coach Shula because he would cut his mother if it meant that the team would be better. But after football, we became really good friends, and I admire him.
Their bond is unbreakable, even if someday they're
Who, me? You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
He lives each day like most retirees in Florida, except he owns a popular chain of restaurants that bear his name and sits upon an unbreakable record, 347.
People ask me how I coached as long as I coached, 33 years. And I said, you got to win early and often. And then you've got a chance to stay around.
In 33 years as a head coach, Don Shula had only 2 losing seasons. His granite jaw is a monument, emblematic of a man who's seen and lived the history of the NFL and much of the 20th century. From a young disciple of Paul Brown to a pillar of the National Football League.
Comes the all-time winningest coach, breaking the record of the immortal George Halas.
In 5 decades of football, Shula won in every way imaginable. And lost in memorable fashion.
Here's the snowplow.
But what made Shula so good for so long? Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle said that, and Don Shula lived it. Over time, even his huddles sounded the same.
We're kicking off. We got to have the good hang time on the kick. Let's make sure we're not offside. Don't give up the one-on-one. We got to do the good job on the kickoff, the hang time. Don't give up the one-on-one. We got to cover the kickoff, good hang time. Don't give up the one-on-one. Let's go. Come on, baby.
Got thinking about not being able to play football, baseball, basketball, and run track. So that took away my desires to become a priest.
In 1950, John Carroll faced powerhouse Syracuse, and Shula's life was changed forever.
I had a big day rushing. I think I had over 100 yards rushing, and we won the game. And Paul Brown and his whole staff were there scouting Syracuse for pro prospects. So when I had the big day, it got drafted by the Browns.
He liked it least.
Inside of you? Outside of him. Wide. Don't get taken down. Wide, Shula. All right, that's wide. Get wide. Don't get taken down.
Shula was both demanding and deft on the fly. In a 1965 playoff game in Green Bay, with both his quarterbacks injured, Shula gave running back Tom Matty a wristband of plays and a pat on the back. The Colts built a late 10-7 lead.
That.
4 years later, Shula's Colts had the best record in football. They entered Super Bowl III as 18-point favorites.
Shula said, if we lose this game, every great thing we've done is out the window. The whole season is ruined if we get... Intercepted. That's the 4th interception. The game is over. The New York Jets are the world champions. They have upset the Baltimore Colts and beat them handily here today.
That loss.
Returned, but in the final minutes, he was knocked out cold on an onside kick.
So after the game, we're on the bus. Wives are with the players, and we're heading back to Fort Lauderdale. I'm getting sick on the bus, throwing up into a box that I'm holding on my lap. We finally get back to the room. Doctor comes up to the room with us.
He asked him how he felt, and he said, I have a headache.
Was Shula's last in Baltimore. He and Rosenblum wanted to make a change. So did Miami Dolphins owner Joe Robbie.
He thought that Shula might be interested in getting out of Baltimore, and it so happened at the time that Carol Rosenblum was traveling abroad. My dad called Steve Rosenblum, his son, and received permission to talk to Shula. And then, of course, when
zone? You didn't make the thing.
Outside Dolphin Stadium, there's a statue commemorating Don Shula's perfect 1972 season. It depicts his ride of a lifetime when he was carried off after Super Bowl VII. Holding him up are offensive lineman Al Jenkins and Hall of Fame linebacker Nick Bonaconti.
Honestly, I did not carry
Hours into practice, I started wheeling. I mean, this is the right time. I hit the ground, and the doctor told me, "See, Larry, there's not a damn thing wrong with
Shula's move paid off. Miami came from behind to win, maintained perfection, and rolled into Super Bowl VII.
I still remember the day Don Johnson for Miami Vice was at the Orange Bowl. I guess it was during the 80s when that was a very popular show, Miami Vice.
Yeah, no, I was there, and Don Johnson came along. It was maybe a Monday night game.
So Ed brings him over, and he said, "Coach," he said, "I got Don Johnson here from Miami Vice, and he wanted to meet you, so I think he's really with, Miami Vice." I said, "I want to thank you for what you guys do, and people really don't appreciate how tough a job you got." He's looking at me, But I really didn't know who Don Johnson was.
Basically, his life was football,
She had athletic ability that our kids would inherit.
We were extremely lucky to have our mom in our lives and raise us the way that she did because my dad was away for half the year.
I've gotten so used to it, I don't know another way of life. It's just been exciting and sometimes, though, lonely. I remember going out, watching David practice football, thinking, Don would be the one who'd be there waiting for him to finish.
Shula's sons learned that the best way to penetrate Dad's world was to become part of it. And David took the first step.
He wanted so desperately to be with his dad that he would ride a bicycle or hitchhike or walk or whatever he had to do. And he'd show up at practice. And Shu said, well, if you're going to be here, you're going to do something. And he gave him a chart to chart the plays.
What's the call, Dave?
68 reps. I was fortunate.
Late 80s, Dorothy was stricken with breast cancer, and the years-long battle had taken its toll.
He's always, held his emotions pretty close, and that was strained to the max and broken toward the end.
How's Dorothy doing?
Oh, she's struggling. Disease just...
Milestone, or to see David, now a head coach in Cincinnati, face Don in the first father-son matchup in NFL history.
his career. All right. Good luck the rest of you. Thank you. But things don't go that way. He had the better hand and coached a better game and came out the winner.
That result couldn't spoil a lifetime of
and the interaction between receivers and defenders.
The game has changed dramatically since Don Shula first roamed the sidelines. That evolution can be traced back to changes that Shula helped institute as a member of the NFL's competition committee.
You know, I felt that all the things that we were doing were things that were good for the game, to open the game up, to make it more exciting. You know, that was our whole emphasis on the committee.
Spinoff is an advanced National Football League. The rules they made.
Rules he helped to create.
We were absolutely shocked to learn of your actions in the game last Sunday. While the language attributed to you was bad enough, the physical act of grabbing headlinesman Bruce Phillison's arm was extremely serious. A personal fine in the amount of $1,000 is being assessed. I never did learn how to act.
He always looked for an edge, but he would never cheat. He hated it when he heard rumors of other teams maybe cheating, but he was about integrity and winning the right way.
Once in Oakland, we went in and used their locker room because the other locker room, something was going on the day before the game. I'm in a locker that belongs to an Oakland Raider. I open it, and there's the game plan. There's what they're going to do to try to defeat us tomorrow. I hand it to Monty.
Like Mercury Morris.
He was always saying or doing something controversial. And I always had to remind him that I was the boss, I was the head coach. I think this is one of the times that he's trying to tell me that he's the boss.
Your frustration level and your wick is very short. So we clashed at that particular time.
Tell them about the time you were suspended and I passed you going in the door and you were walking out.
Are you suspended?
What are you talking about? Well, I walked out, and then you sent me a telegram the next day saying, you're fired. You're out of the NFL.
He and I were like arch enemies, butting heads all the time.
Get in here.
And over the last 20, 25
left for the WFL, Shula won games on the arm of Bob Greasy. He was voted Coach of the Decade. In the early 80s, Shula returned to a run-first offense while rotating quarterbacks. to the Dolphins. He came over in a 1993 trade.
If I had to think about a biblical character that I could synonymize Coach Shula with, it would be Moses. And that's because he set me free. We had a certain way of doing things. He was Moses to me. He set me free.
Give Shula a talent like Fryer's, he'd free it. Give him an arm like Marino's, he'd throw it. Give him a practice field that was under construction, he'd use a parking garage.
We're at the Marriott, I think it was a Marriott, at the airport at LAX. He goes, is there a parking lot here? And our hotel rep says, yeah, we got like a 4-level parking lot in the back. Shula says, we'll practice here. We have receivers going out running for a route, and they're jumping over those little things that you pull your car in so you don't hit something. Coaches would be talking, and you'd hear, the plane coming in from LAX.
Yeah, we would do things like that. I'd rather have the players doing a walkthrough than sitting in a meeting half falling asleep. So anytime that I could find a facility big enough, I called a walkthrough.
This is insanity. Who practices in a parking lot? Shula.
Never been done in sports? Damn straight you would pop champagne every year to celebrate.
That's a picture of me giving Raymond Floyd some pointers on the golf swing. Raymond Floyd is one of the best golfers of all time. You know, he's won all of the big tournaments.
Maria, right here.
And his late wife, Maria, is the one that introduced my wife
Bears will not go undefeated.
That's what this whole thing, that's why we're sitting here talking about this 40 years after the fact. Nobody else can friggin' do it.
On November 14, 1993, Don Shula set out to do what many thought could not be done.
We got to put it together. We got to start running with the ball, pass protecting, making plays.
The record would not come easy. Dan Marino was already lost for the season. Backup Scott Mitchell built a slim lead. Then he went down. But as he always had, Shula stayed the course.
Wouldn't it be a delicious touch of irony if Doug Peterson is able to pull out number 325, and it couldn't
They mentioned Walsh. They mentioned Hallis. Who's won more games? Who's the coach of the only undefeated team in history? Who won with a running game? Who won with a passing game? He's the greatest winner the greatest game has ever seen.
On behalf of the 72 team, I'd like to thank Coach Shula.
Here, here. Here, here.
For those of us that aren't here with us, we salute them, we remember them. In the next 5 or 10 years, perhaps some of us won't be around, but the record remains.
Don Shula was a regular guy. He was a meat and potatoes guy, a mill hunky from Ohio, and the work ethic that this guy gave to us is part of how I live right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Coach, you believed in me. Thank you for that.
Thanks for teaching me all I know about pro football.